Namaskaram. In the story of Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization, we have so far covered 6 topics: Samudra Mantanam, Geography and Polity, Trade, Wealth of Nations, Technology and Economy. Now the underlying framework which made all these activities possible relate to language and culture. We will take a look at the language and culture of the civilization. Language and culture. I submit that Melgha is a Sprachbund, a language union of all Bharatiya languages, be they Indo-Aryan, be they Dravidian, be they Tibetan or Austroasiatic. We have received a wrong message about the divided languages of our country, so-called division between the Dravidian and Aryan languages or the Mundarica languages, which is disproved by this presentation of the Melgha Sprachbund language union. Even the author of the Dravidian Etymological Dictionary, one of the authors, Emano, makes a speech in Annamalai University and says that India was a Sprachbund, a language union, a linguistic area where people from different language families were exchanging notes from each other and absorbing the features of different languages and making them their own. That is called a linguistic area. I submit that Melgha is the spoken dialect of artisans, seafaring merchants of Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization, and they had no problem in transacting trade transactions between one another among these artisans and seafaring merchants. So the basic framework for the language, I have tried to construct an Indian lexicon for more than 25 ancient languages of Bharatam Janam. The list of languages are recorded there. They range from Assamese to Wakhi, Vaigali, include Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Kashmiri, Assamese, Santali, Gujarati, Afghan, Pashto. So all these languages together constituted the Indian spoken form, and each of these 8,000 semantic groups, including the dictionary, contain a variety of phonetic forms for a given semantic meaning definition. Please do take a look at this dictionary available online. The online link is shown there. So here is a map of the languages of India of Bharatam Janam, shown in different colors. At the stage of the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization of the tin, bronze, iron, steel revolution, they all worked together and got resources from all parts of the country, traded them and managed the trade of cargo using the seafaring rivers, navigable rivers of Sindhu, Saraswati, Brahmaputra, Ganga, Yamuna, Mekong, Irrawaddy, Salween, and the South Indian rivers who could end up in the coastline of Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. They also moved to work with the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization people. This is the range of the Dravidian languages. They were also an integral part of the evolution of the metalwork and economy of the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization. They cannot be separated from the Sapta-Sindhu region. You can see the outlier of Brahvi, which is called a Dravidian language. So the Proto-Indian, Indo-Aryan substratum languages drawn after southward included Melgha, as seen in the extent of the Ashokan Empire of 250 before Common Era in the second map. I submit that the India was a linguistic area, a Sprachbund, a language union, which was called the Vedic and Mleccha. Vedic and Mleccha were two sides of the coin. Vedic was a literary sacred language used for performance of the yajna. Melgha was the speech union, the dialects of dialects, which made people to communicate with one another in transacting their life activity transactions. A remarkable evidence comes from the work done by the University of Hawaii linguists, who conclusively proved that the roots of the Mon Khmer, Laos, Vietnam languages lie in Santali and Mundarica, or so-called Austroasiatic languages. Surprise, these Austroasiatic speakers of Melgha are coterminous with the Bronze Age sites of both northeast India and the ancient Far East. As you can see from these two maps. The first map is a linguistic map drawn by Pinot. Second map is a map prepared by Archaeological Survey of India showing the Bronze Age sites and is shown as a map in Charles Geham's Bronze Age of Southeast Asia of the Cambridge University Press. You have seen the Shivalingas discovered by Harappa by Mansurup Wars, and take a look at the base of one of the Shivalingas of Mohenjo-daro, a decorated base, very polished with a trefoil symbol which signified three dhatu, three mineral ores. The young bull and a markor are being spoken to by a standing person with a lifted hand, Eraka, lifted arm, Eraka, metal infusion. He is a metal worker. We have seen the one-horned young bull is Konda Singhi, working with ornament gold, a turner, and also with Konda, fire trench with live coals. We have seen that markor is Mindal. Rebus, med, iron. A fish is also shown as a message, IO fish, IS, alloy metal. Sal splinter, Sal workshop. We have seen anthropomorphs on tablets, men ligature to the buttocks of a bull with the tail of a bovine, with the hoofs of a bovine, and the horns and the upraised arm. Eraka, upraised arm, Eraka, metal infusion. Horns, cod, horn, cod, workshop. The bull, Dangar. Dangar is a blacksmith. The bullman anthropomorph is also seen in Babylonia, 2000 before Common Era. The person signified, I submit, is Dangar, blacksmith of Maithili language. Dangara bull, Rebus, Dangar, blacksmith. Thakur, blacksmith, an image of a divinity. Dandro, blacksmith in Nepali. Bullman is holding a post, it's a trading post. On top of it is a kanda, a jar, signifying he is selling kanda equipment. Eraka raised arm, Eraka molten cast, metal infusion, Eraka copper, Karnika spread legs, Rebus Karni, supercargo merchant, responsible for the shipment. Med body, med iron, med copper in Slavic, Kanka Karnaka rim of jar, Karni supercargo, Karnaka engraver, accountant, account. Bhata is a rimless jar, Bhata warrior, Bhata furnace. We have seen the person stretched with stretched arms, holding back two tigers, wearing results, wearing wristlets, Kara wristlets, bangles, Kar blacksmith, Karnika spread legs, Karni supercargo, med body, med iron, Sangad lathe, Rebus Sangara proclamation, Kola tiger, coal working in iron, Kariba elephant, Iba elephant, Karba iron, Ib iron, Ibo merchant. So the stretched arms are Kand. Kard is a iron stone. So parentheses join into an ellipse to create a circumferential ligature. So a muha, a bun ingot is taken and inlaid with a sprout. Kodu is a sprout. Kodu means a wrought metal object. The three signifies kolom, rebus, kolimi, simiti, forge. The ladle of the pot is mukha, ladle, muh, ingot. Bata is a rimless pot, bata is iron, bata is furnace. Thus, iron ingot is signified. The arrow is kanda, rebus, kanda means equipment. Tools, pots and pans, metalware. It also means kan, fire altar in Santali. We have the fish sign with a variety of ligatures, with a lid on top, with a stroke, with a slash, with a notch, and with fins, and a fish circumscribed by 4 small strokes. Each of these can be read with the base figure of Aya, fish, Aya, iron, Aya's metal. The lid is Dhaka, blazing, bright metal article. Slash, Dhala, Dhalako, large ingot. Notch, Kanda, equipment. Fin, Kamata, mint. The 4 circumference scopes, Kanda 4, Kanda equipment. IS equipment, alloy metal equipment. There is also seals which show a twisted string a drummer, and tumblers tumbling over a buffalo. They're all Indus Script hieroglyphs. Kamsat, jump, Kanchu, bronze, rebus. Trida, 3 strands, rebus, Tridatu, 3 minerals. Karnaka, rim of jar, Karni, supercargo, engraver, account. And the details of all the Banavali seals and these imageries can be very clearly identified, as documented here, can be gone through very carefully. For example, Kanda is an arrow, Kandera is a caste of a group of artisans who make bows and arrows, arrow makers. Kanda is an arrow. Kanda, as Kanda, according to Panini, is a quantity of iron, excellent iron. Kadi is a chain, a hook. Kadum is a bracelet. Card is a large stone. Pata is a large pot, brass pot. The vaulting over is signified by doldu. Rebus, dul, metal casting, to cast in a mold. Dul, to cast in a mold, metal casting. So bronze, bell metal. So the drummer is announcing a new alloy casting of pewter and tin. Rango, buffalo bull. Rebus, ranga, pewter. Rango, pewter. Here we have an anthropomorph of a ram with spread legs of a human being and a fish sign on the chest. Meadow, med is a ram. Med means iron. Spread legs are Karnaka. Rebus, Karnaka means a helmsman. The fish signifies Aya. Rebus, Aya, iron. Ayas, alloy metal. So the anthropomorph is signifying his professional competence in working with iron and as a helmsman taking it as cargo for shipment. Alloy metal shipment. We have the houses of Vedic times reconstructed by Louis Renault, a circular hut roofed by reeds, as seen even today in Toda communities who speak a Dravidian language called Toda. So Dravidian, the genetic affinities, which is a very favorite subject these days, of Bharatam Janam, has been conclusively established by a number of genetic studies. So there is no need to postulate invasions or migrations of people. Of course, people migrated from one place to another. As for example, the people from Bharatam, from Kurukshetra went westwards. They also went eastwards, creating the Mon-Khmer languages. So we can summarize the situation by a statement from a French historian, Michelet. India, closer than us to the creation, has better preserved the tradition of universal brotherhood. She inscribed at the beginning and at the end of her 2 great sacred poems, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, gigantic pyramids before which all our small occidental works must stand humbly and respectfully. When you grow tired of this quarrelsome West, please indulge in the West, return to your mother. To that majestic antiquity so noble and tender, love, humility, grandeur, you will find it all gathered there, and with such simple feelings, so detached of all miserable pride, and that humility never even needs a mention. So when a person is referred to as a knowledgeable person, as a learned person, is called Vidya Vinaya Sampanna. Vinayam, that humility, is the trademark of the Bharatiya Janam, Bharatam Janam. So let us take a look at the brilliant expression coined by Basava in Karnataka. He called it Kayakave Kailasa, work is worship. This is a summarization of the Isavasya Upanishad. Isavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magrudak kasusiddhanam. That is, you do your work, you accumulate wealth, but enjoy it by sharing, by sacrificing it. Don't keep it for yourself. Don't become greedy. Share it with people. So, kaya kave kailasa. Your job is to work. Do your job. And doing your job is the moksha, the kailasa. So magnificently represented and so magnificently expressed and realized through the decipherment of 9,000 Indus Script inscriptions, which definitely document wealth creation for a nation, mostly because of the guilds of artisans and seafaring merchants moving on navigable waterways and the Indian Ocean. Navigable waterways are the Sarasvati River, the Brahmaputra, Ganga, Yamuna, Mekong, Giravati, Salween, Sindhu rivers, Panchanadi rivers, Persian Gulf, Tigris Euphrates. They spoke a common language with a common writing system. They spoke a common language of Meluha. They spoke a dialect of the times with a common writing system called the Indus Script. This is called Mlechita Vikalpa by Vatsyayana. Mlechitas means Mlecha workers, alternative way of representing their speech in writing system. So they are wealth accounting systems documented for barter trade transactions. They matured into a monetary system about the 7th century before Common Era. Indus Script hieroglyphs continued to be used on ancient mint coins together with the Brahmi and Kharoshthi, Greek syllabic scripts. So Greek, Kharoshthi, Brahmi occur together with Indus Script hieroglyphs on a number of artifacts which have been demonstrated. Here is a copper tablet from Mohenjo-daro. On the right is a copper tablet of Gujarat Rashtakota branch, 1893 Common Era. Twist, Medha, twist, rebus, med, mrudu, iron, med, copper, Slavic languages. Here is a inscription which shows the fire altar, the Yagna Kunda. It's a square or rectangle. Square, circle, rectangle, and half circle. 7 fire altars have been found in Kalibangan. Fire altars have been found in Magad, Saurashtra. The excavator was archaeologist Swanamane of the University of Baroda. Existence of fire altars in the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization is part of the Vedic culture. It's a continuum. One figure shows the Lothal structure located in the street. The excavator archaeologist says it's too large a part to be used only for cooking purposes. It was a furnace. Bisht identifies a Banavali, a semicircular fire altar, as shown in the previous Vedic altar. Banavali Apsidal fire temple. It's a fire temple. Sacred fire is a temple. The divinities are invoked into the temple. Agni is the Yagnasarathi, who brings in the divinities to realize the fruits of the Yagna. Rigveda Mandala Sukta, Madhuchanda Vishwamitra, Devata is Agni. The very first Sukta of the Rigveda, Agni Mile Purohitam Yagnasya Devam Mritijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam, is the giver of wealth, treasure. Agni is the priest, he holds and gives wealth to uphold and sustain the worshipper. This is a translation of this beautiful richa from the Rigveda, which has got 10,800 richas, which are the foundational documents for the culture of the civilization. So here is an executive summary of the competence of the artisans, a magnificent procession shown on 2 tablets, and then on one tablet a person lifting up the flag post with the standard device shown in front of the young bull on hundreds and thousands of seals. Kunda, lathe, kunda, fine gold, bottom, kamata, portable furnace, kamata, mint. The one-horned young bull we have seen is Kunda Singhi, Konda Singin, fire trench with live coal, ornament gold, the scarf, dhatu, dhatu mineral ore, and possibly a 4th symbol also carried as on a flag post may signify a spoked wheel, sark, spoked wheel, arka, copper gold, arkashala, goldsmith workshop. This is the detail of the field symbol that occurs very frequently on thousands of seals, together with the young bull with one horn and a pannier on the shoulders. On one inscription, 6 lines are shown. Bata means 6. Bata is iron. Bata is a furnace. Aya is fish. Aya is alloy metal. Kanda is arrow. Kanda is equipment. Kuti is a curve. Kutila, katil means 8 parts copper, 2 parts tin. Kanach is a corner. Kanchu, bell metal. So they are working with different types of alloys and creating mukha, ladle, where rebus, Mohenjo-daro. Bata, rimless pot, Bata iron. Kuti, water carrier, Kuti smelter. Bata, rimless pot, Bata iron. Dula, duplicated, rebus, dul, metal casting. Thus working with cast iron. Dhatu, cross, Dhatu, mineral ore. Dula, 2, rebus, dul, metal casting. So they are metal casters working with Sire Purdue last wax casting technique. The flagstaff. The physical flagstaff about 11 feet tall has been found. Dhalako, large metal ingot. Dhala, a slashed stroke. Takshashila and Shakala, present day Sialkot, mentioned in the Mahabharata epic, signify a very major trading centers. We have seen about the trading centers earlier. The important trading centers of the civilization along the ancient maritime tin route from Hanoi to Haifa. India was a language union, a Sprachbund. Takshashila and Shakala proved to be a central node in the trade routes which crisscrossed the region from Hanoi to Haifa, from Sri Lanka to Shakala, powering the tin, bronze and agrarian revolutions from 5th millennium before Common Era, as a continuum of Vedic heritage, a wealth creation of the nation, and overshadowed the Silk Road of later periods. It predated the Silk Road by 2 millennia. The trade routes created the wealthiest nation on the globe of Bharatam Janam, as demonstrated by Angus Madison in the bar chart he drew for the European Union. Takshashila Shakala on the map, very close to the Sapta-Sindhu region, as shown in the Mahabharata epic, a map drawn by Schwarzberg, Chicago University. The cultures of Northwest India and Southwest Asia, common cultures, common ways of building, common ways of settlements, typical jewelry commonly worn, artifacts, material culture, the way the Great Bath was created, or a Pushkarani was created, or a reservoir was created, and a warehouse was created, and the dancing pose, and the person wearing the trefoil shawl, together with the fillet on the forehead and right shoulder. The artifacts of the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization, variety of metalwork, which led John Marshall to call it the Sheffield of ancient India, Mohenjo-daro. Artifacts of Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization are seen, and we have seen there is a temple in Dholavera. We have seen there is a temple, fire altar. The sacred fire altar is a temple. This Dholavera temple is a smithy, a forge. In the Meluha language, colonial means a temple. Colonial also means a smithy and a forge. A smithy and a forge becomes a temple. In front of 2 pillars, which are fiery pillars, skambas, which are set on fire with a ring on top with shaft to infuse carbon into the molten metal. They are signifiers of, they are proclamations of the performance of Somayaga. Here is a writing system of Egypt, similar hieroglyphic writing system, which shows the 3 mountain ranges and an elephant. I submit that this is Indus Script hieroglyph in front of a tree. Kuti, tree, Kuti smelter. Elephant, Iba, elephant, Ib, iron. Danga, mountain range, Dangar, blacksmith. Look at this priest wearing the shawl. I submit he is Potru, purifier. He is a Dhavat, iron smelter. Dhav, red stone minerals in a Rigveda Yajna. The bead is worn on a fillet on his forehead and also on the right shoulder. Pot is a glass bead. Potru is a priest. Potadara is an assayera metal. Podar, assayera metal. Is a Potru, a temple priest in Malabar. Is a Potadara, is a Dhavat. Because Dhav is a dot, Dhayam. 3 dots, 3 dhatu. 3 minerals. Working with 3 red stones. Possibly magnetite, hematite, laterite. He is the guild master wearing a fillet, who gets the anointed with this according to Satapada Brahmana after the performance of the Rajasuya Vajapaya Yagna. Yupa. Upas are seen in historical time. In 19 Upas have been found with inscriptions in Bharatam and also in East Borneo. These were carried a tashala on top. The inscriptions refer to the production of Bahu Savarnaka, many wealth materials. The inscriptions are conclusive proof that they are proclamations of performance of a Somayaga. A similar octagonal pillar We have seen in Binjore in a fire altar, octagonal pillar, octagonal yupa, Astasri yupa. We have seen the Shankas, which are a signature tune of the products of the Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, the Indian Ocean coastline, libation vessel, and also a conch, trumpet. The guild master is shown as a shreni, a ladder. Shrestri is a ladder. Seti is the head of a guild. Seti in Tamil. Guild, head of a guild. Then the animals are shown, each of them signifying a particular metal resource. They are the seafaring Meluka merchants. One tiger is shown, Kola, Kol, working in iron. One bull is shown, Balad, bull. Rebus, Bharata, mixed alloy of copper, tin and pewter. So we can go into the details of the decipherment of each of the hieroglyphs, possibly identifying all the 6 animals which are repeatedly shown on Indus Script corpora of about 9,000 inscriptions. So the composition of the 6 heads put together signifies a guild controlled by a guild master. We saw a remarkable tablet showing 6 protons of 6 different animals and one sign. We'll go through the hieroglyphs of this particular tablet. The hieroglyphs are, there is a warrior sign. Bata is a warrior. Rebus, Bata is a furnace. And there are 6 protons. Bata is 6, Rebus, Bata is a furnace. So they are reinforcing the message that it's something to deal with a furnace. Now what are the components that are being worked on? The usual one-horned young bull is there. Konda, Kundar, turner, brass worker. Singin, forward thrusting, spiny horned, Konda, young bull. Rebus, Singi, gold, ornament gold. So we are dealing with a Konda, fire altar, fire trench with live coals, Agni Kunda, a sacred fire altar of fire coals. The bull is Dangra, Rebus, Dangar, blacksmith. It has got 2 dramatic horns, code horns, Rebus, code workshop. There is also a ram or antelope, med ram, Rebus, med iron. Antelope, Mreka, goat. Rebus, Melaku, copper. Meluha, Mlecha, copper worker. A Vikalpa is made, helper of a merchant. So it's some kind of a merchandise related to copper furnace work, iron furnace work. Then we have the horns of a zebu, which could signify Pola, Rebus, Pola, magnetite ore, or it could be Kunt, zebu. Kunt is a guild and a community. So 6 animals put together constitute a guild or a community related to this lapidarian metalwork. There is a very famous saying in old Bible called the Harashat Agoyim, which has been derived from Karoshti Goya. Goya means a nation. Goya means a gotra, a clan, a guild. Karoshti, Kara Ushti. Kara is a blacksmith, Ushta is speech. So blacksmith speech is getting recorded, and therefore the entire document, the Harashat Agoyim means a smithy of nations. That is the European narrative. Then the 6th animal is not clear, it's because it's broken, but we can make a reasonable guess that could represent a tiger, Kola, tiger, Rebus, Kol, working in iron. It could also be a rhinoceros, in which case it's Ganda, rhinoceros, Rebus, Kand, tools, pots and pans. Thus the entire composition of the 6 animals on the Mohenjo-daro seal is semantic representation of a guild, Shreni, synonym Kunt, community of smiths and masons. Let us take another look at a remarkable gold disc of the Kuwait Museum. It shows also a string of animals as representatives of the wealth of wealthy resources. A pair of tabernamentana flowers are shown. Tagara tabernamentana, flower, Tagara tin. A pair of rams are shown. Tagara ram, Rebus, Dangar merchant. Next to one ram, there is a tree, Kuti tree, Rebus, Kuti smelter. Alternative could be Kolmo rice plant, Rebus kolimi, smithy forge. Then the ficus religiosa leaves are seen on a tree branch. Lova, ficus leaf, ficus glomerata, rebus, loh, metal. Kol in Tamil means panchaloha, alloy of 5 metals, plus flanking pair of lotus flowers, tamarasa, lotus, rebus, tamra, copper. The pair signified by dula, rebus, dul, cast metal, thus denoting copper castings. A pair of bulls tethered to a tree branch are Bharat, ox, rebus, Bharata, alloy of copper, pewter, tin, plus kola, a man, rebus, kolhe, smelter, kuti, woman, kol, working in iron. Alternative could be dangar, bull, rebus, dangar, blacksmith, or pola, zebu, pola, magnetite, ferrite ore. Two persons touch the two bulls, made body, rebus, made iron. Thus, the hieroglyph composite denotes iron smiths. A pair of antelopes looking back, karamara, look back, rebus, kamar, smith, Santali. Tagara, antelope, rebus, tamgar, merchant, Akkadian. Alternative, mel, mreka, goat, brahui, Telugu, rebus, melakku, copper, mlechamuka, copper, Sanskritam. A pair of antelopes, made, antelope, ram, rebus, made, iron. A pair of combs, kanga, comb, rebus, kanga, brazier, fireplace. So in this beautiful chronomite gold disc, an entire range of metalwork catalogs have been documented in Indus Script Harappa, Indus Script representations. So it's a metalwork catalog. There is a pair of fishes, Io fish, rebus, Io metal, Is alloy metal. A pair of buffaloes tethered to a post could be Rango, buffalo, Ranga, pewter. Or there could be alternative readings of buffalo bull, Kand, rebus, Kand, stone ore. So like this, pictorial representations are all hieroglyphs, as in the case of the Egyptian hieroglyphs, but these signify not a syllabic representation, but logographs. Each is a word which can signify some activity, some of life activity of the people of the civilization. Take a look at that dancing girl again, and the dancing girl pose developed as a sign on a portrait, Mettu, step, med, iron. So there's a very beautiful bronze image of the step of a lady together with the anklet. And the dancing person, steppu, the dancing pose, karana, is a scribe. Karana is a scribe. Karana is a dance pose. So a male dancer, like Tandavan Nrutyam of Shiva, the cosmic dance, a statue has been found in Mohenjo-daro, and we see a Vinayaka, Ganesha, dancing on a sculptural frieze in Indonesia, Chandisuku temple of Bhima and Arjuna. Bhima is the blacksmith, Arjuna is the bellows blower, and Vinayaka engaged in a dance step. These are all hieroglyphs. These hieroglyphs are signified in a magnificent manner in the Khajuraho temple for Varaha, an avatar of Vishnu. So the firm point that I want to reinforce is that the words that are represented by these hieroglyphs and the rebus renderings relate to the Meluha Sprachbund, a language union, where number of Bharati language dialects constituted a speech union. They were able to interact with each other and observe their features, and the cultural framework of unity of all languages of Bharatam Janam is firmly enshrined. And this expression Bharatam Janam is mentioned by Vishwamitra in the Rigveda Risha 3.53.12. The boar is a body. Rebus rendering is body is a worker in wood and iron. The word undergoes a morphological transformations yielding words such as Bador, Badaga, Vadlangi, Varaha, Barak, all related to the word body. All of these words are related to artisans and traders working with metals, woodwork, jewelry. Varaha becomes a symbol for Varaha coin, superior gold, a measure of gold, a standard for gold, Atti Varahan. The figures shown on the sculpture are ancestors of artisans and merchants offering their prayers as noted in the Rigveda tradition. The creation of this sculpture is to pray to their ancestors and divinities for their good fortune in their respective industries. Therefore, the boar is a homage to the ancient divinities who have brought with them wealth in their artisan and trading activities. Chitragupta is the name of the temple complex of Khajuraho temple of Varaha. That means the secret picture writing, cryptography of ancient times. In the traditional narratives, Chitragupta is a Yama's accountant. He keeps account transactions. So the Indus Script corpora constitute an accountant's documentation of the civilization activities. On the sculptures, the scribe is depicted as an accountant of wealth accounting ledgers. Karnika, Karna, Karanam, Kulkarani, Desha Kulkarani. They are all in the tradition of keeping ledgers of national accounts, guilds accounts, Janapadas accounts. The rendering can be seen in Indus Script hieroglyphs, the documentation of wealth creation processes. That was the purpose of the Indus Script. The Indus Script was meant to be a documentation of the wealth creating activities of the civilization, Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization. We have seen beautiful imageries in Mari of a person carrying weapons, tools, equipment, the Mari soldier. And we have seen evidences of the drilling equipment that are used, and the tools and the metal artifacts that have been produced in the civilization in this area and also in the nearby areas, neighboring areas. So Varaha again. So this sculpture shows, when you go into the details of 720 sculptural friezes on Varaha, you find one frieze showing a bellows blower like a makara. Makara is makara, a composite animal. Rebus, Bhakaraha, a blacksmith. Smith, bellows blower. Dhamaka, blacksmith. He is shown riding a Dhamakara, a composite animal. The Makara is an Indus Script hieroglyph tradition. I submit that the Pratima is an offering devoted to the boar avatara metaphor of the divine. It signifies the wealth that was generated by the artisans, the woodworkers and the iron workers. So the details of the decipherment of the hieroglyphs and which are represented in a number of languages of the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization area can be clearly seen, including the variant spellings, variant pronunciation modifications of the word badi, which is the Varaha boar, Vadlangamu, Vadlapani, Vadlamu, Vadlangi, Vardhaka, Vardhaki. Vardhaka is a carpenter. The phonetic variations affirm the formation and evolution of Bhāratī or Sprachbund, speech union, or speech area, or linguistic area, among all the ancient languages of Bharatam. So all the people from the entire Bharat had landed in that activity region, which is an industrial complex of 2000 archaeological sites on the Sarasvati river basin. So that is the new light on the Sarasvati civilization. So we should not restrict ourselves to interpretation by one particular archaeological site in isolation. We have got to see it in perspective, in a Brahma Simhavalokanam. So in that tradition, again let us take a look at the Gandaberunda tradition of two eagles, two eagle-headed bird, which has enormous strength and power to lift up two elephants and two lions. This Gandaberunda, the eagles are Siena Chiti. We have in Purola a Siena Chiti found in archaeological context in Uttar Kashi. So the Siena Asani also represents thunderbolt. The rebus rendering is Ahan, iron. Ahangar is a smith, iron smith in Pushto language and also in Kashmiri. So this signifier is that this powerful person is able to work with a very hard metal which has enormous strength, which could even lift up elephants and lions. Lion signifies a superior gold. The elephant signifies one of the three ferrite ores. Iba, elephant, iron. So the Gandaberunda is a signifier of absolute authority and strength. So this becomes naturally a preferred state symbol of authority. All over Europe, including Mysuru, the Gandaberunda gets adopted as the state emblem. So the evolution of artificers' tools. Skull itself is a metaphor of a sharpened tool. Chamunda is a taksha, a woodcutter, a carpenter. Karoti, cup, skull. Karada, odd alloy. Lohafala, a small metal plowshare. Agricultural implements, lohal. So the artisans' tools of the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization of a chisel, hammer, bronze saw are all archaeologically discovered. We have seen a Ganda Berunda on top of an axe together with a tiger with wings and Varaha boar. As we have seen, they are all symbols representing smelter work, iron work. And the cutter of the Shanka is Krishana, a saw cutter. He holds a huge 25 kilogram weighing bronze saw drawn from a roof and held by ropes. He holds them in two hands as he holds the Shanka in his between his feet, soles of the feet, and then uses the saw in a saw-like movement to create the bangle, Shanka bangle, which becomes a symbol for a womanhood, symbol for marriage, a tali in Bengal, Orissa and other places. So it was an important symbolic representation of the result of the artisan's work. Artisans are cherished, artisans are venerated as divine representations, Vishwakarma, Daksha, Twashta. So we have seen the gadgets found in Ur, Mesopotamia and also in Harappa of toilet gadgets of the same type. So there has been a lot of contacts between the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization and the Mesopotamian area. It is very categorical. Then the tradition continues in a very remarkable fashion, evidenced by two toys that were found in Nausharo near Mehergarh, two Nausharo female figurines. They wear sindoor in the parting of their hair, a red line at the parting of the hair called mang. When the archaeologists discovered this, he was stunned. This is dated to about 2800 before Common Era, and this continuum of the civilization of wearing sindoor and the mang continues even today as an incredible continuum of Bharatiya Hindu culture. We have seen toys from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro in the yogic postures, displaying variety of yoga asanas. So the yoga traditions also seems to be related to the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization area of the 4th millennium before Common Era. So we do Namaste. It's also shown as a yoga posture in a toy. We have seen earlier, again we'll repeat it, that the root for Austro-Asiatic languages lies in Bharatam. In Santal Pargana, Santali language, Mundarika, Austro-Asiatic. The two maps indicate the nature of movement of these language speakers from Bharat, who were Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization people, moving away from the northeast India, Bengal, into Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. This has been studied further by linguists of the University of Hawaii, who have conclusively proved that the Mark Khmer languages, Mark Khmer, the Vietnam languages of early centuries of the Common Era, relate to Austro-Asiatic origins in Bharat, Sarasvati Sindhu civilization. So we'll do the Namaskar as this lady is showing from Bali. We will survey and review what we have achieved so far in terms of analysis. We have seen there is an incredible unity of languages. So they later received wisdom about the so-called Dravidian Mundarika, Dravidian Indo-Aryan divide did not exist in the days of the Sarasvati civilization, as proved by this decipherment of nearly 8,000 Indus Script inscriptions, all of which are based on hieroglyphic writing system. So this gives us a pause to look at the sources for our history. We have to clearly understand that we have now achieved a stage where the number of inscriptions are total about 9,000 Indus Script inscriptions. They have become an integral part of the Epigraphia Indica. The Epigraphia Indica constitute the primary sources written by the people of that time, documenting their activities. So we have a tremendous resource base for recreating our ancient past. So what is proto-history can now be brought into the historical domain. You no longer need to have make a statement that Indus Script has not been deciphered so far. It has been deciphered, it has been identified, Only we have been blinded by a perception of so-called Indo-Aryan Dravidian divide or Indo-Aryan Mundarika divide, which did not enable us to look at the meanings of these hieroglyphs. A very simple system, very simple engineering of a rebus rendering of the picture and a similar sounding word conveying life activity. What was the life activity? They were working with metals, other wealth resources, working with alloys, creating self-produced sculptures, working with gems and stones, jewels, and making jewelry, lapidaries at work. Kundar, working with a lathe, the turner. They are the instruments. They are the artisans who created the civilization. So this is a tribute to the artisans of our civilization who are revered in the Rig Veda. For example, in the Rashtriya Suktam, Rig Veda 10.125, Vagdevi prays to Atman. This is a principle of life and sensation. Prays to Atman and then says, I am venerating Tvashta, who is an artisan, who is a divine dispensation, who has got artisanal skills. And we also look at the nation that was formed with the water resources and the skills of the artisans which have made the nation. So the wealth of the nations has been founded completely on the work of the skilled artisans and the contributions they made. The farmer at work, the weaver at work, a herbal Ayurvedic doctor at work, an inquirer into the properties of matter at work, an alchemist at work. They all work together to create the wealth of the nation. But the beautiful thing is they were governed by that great principle of not earning wealth only for their own personal aggrandizement, but to be shared in a commonwealth with all the people. And that commonwealth is signified in a system of bolutidars, where the village artisans, a blacksmith, a weaver, a turner, a farmer, everybody shares in the produce. The produce is shared and distributed to all the people, all the artisans who are of the Janapada, of the village. And these Janapadas grow into greater Janapadas, Mahajanapadas. And the Mahajanapadas emerge into the Magadha Empire, the Mauryan Empire, and a number of people. So this unification of the nation, using the language as a framework, and as the Indus Script as a framework, which continues even beyond 2000 before Common Era, on all sculptures, in the Panchmar coins of the mints, and then hundreds of cultural friezes, or even on the Ramzan bronze drums, evidence in Indus Script hieroglyphs. So this documentation of the hieroglyphs tradition is so astonishing that we have got to take a fresh look at our historical framework of the civilizational framework of the nation and the civilizational framework for creating the wealth of nations, which were powered by the engine of trade, by ancient seafaring merchants who were traveling along the Indian Ocean from Hanoi through Borukacha, through Persian Gulf or through the Red Sea, and along the Himalayan rivers, which are also maritime riverine waterways. Remarkable waterways of 2,500 kilometers long each. Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, Sarasvati, Sindhu, Mekong, Irrawaddy, Salween, all these great rivers were riverine waterways. So the riverine waterways linked up with the Indian Ocean and then transacted. And we also have evidence of catamarans, stone boats from Kerala with the coir stone boats found in a shipwreck in Ain Sukna on Suez Canal, Red Sea, north of the Suez Canal, by the French archaeologists. So we have now substantial evidence, archaeological evidence and literary evidence matching with the archaeological evidence to rewrite and reaffirm the unified nation, Rastram, that was generated as an evolution from artisans working together in groups, organizing themselves as guilds, shrenis, becoming Janapadas, then Mahajanapadas, and an empire signified by the Magadha and Mauryan empires. The Greeks also intervened through the Achaemenid Empire. They also were absorbed into the empire system because of the cultural framework of the nation of people getting together with a common purpose. So long as they understood that the Atman was a life principle of phenomena and sensations, the understanding becomes easy. There is no enmity, there are no tensions, they can be overcome. So this is the message that we see from these 7 episodes, 7 topics that we have covered so far. And we'll be moving into the next topic of looking at the primary sources for our history writing, again in the context of the Indus Script, which has now given us a new, fresh floodlight has been thrown on our civilizational history of not only Bharat, but also the nearby nations of Sri Lanka, ancient Far East nations, and also ancient Near East, Iran, Balochistan, Kashmir, Gandhara, Uttarakuru, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, all were active. But remember, this date is 2 millennia before the Silk Road. 2 millennia before the Silk Road, there were trading centers linked with the Sarasvati-Sindhu civilization area. Trading centers like Takshashila, Sialkot, Sakala, Sialkot, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Dholavira, Kalibangan, Rakigadi, which is a Patana, linking up the riverine waterways of Saraswati and Ganga, Yamuna and Brahmaputra. In conclusion, we can see that the 7 topics that we have covered so far, ending up with the language and culture framework, that this nation of Bharat was united in the Indian Sprachbund, Bharatiya Sprachbund, language union, where speakers from different language families were able to work together in the industrial complex on these 2 Saraswati river basin and Sindhu river basin. But the activity was not restricted to these 2 river basins. The civilization was active for the entire zone, entire Bharat area. East coast was active, Brahmaputra was active, south was active, and the coastline was active. So people are at work, and we will see in the next topic how the principal sources of history are provided by the decipherment of the Indus Script, which have given us a very solid documentation of the life activities of the people and how they created the wealth of nations and the wealth of Bharatam. Namaskaram.